Hello, and thank you for joining today's special webcast, 4 Ways AI Can Supercharge Your Talent Management in 2022. I'm John Sumser. I'm a Senior Fellow in Human Capital here at the Conference Board. So today, what we're going to be talking about is what's talent intelligence, 4 ways to apply talent intelligence in your organization, and they are AI-enabled personalization, dynamic skilling, internal mobility, and talent insights. After we get a good look at the Eightfold platform, we're going to have a discussion with Mark Starfield, who is a current HR leader working to transform talent operations. This webcast is approved for HRCI, SHRM, and CPE credits. If you haven't done so already, please click the link in the CEU request pod to sign up for available credits for this event. The pod is located in the bottom right-hand corner of the webcast console. Remember to stay logged in for the entire webcast and to respond to the 3 pop-ups throughout the conversation. To get the most out of this webcast, be sure to utilize the engagement tools located at the bottom of your screen. Using these, you can ask questions to the presenters and download available resources. Today, the speakers are going to be, of course, me. I'm John Sumter. I'm at the far end. Jason Serrato, who is the Senior Director of Product Marketing for Eightfold AI. Mark Starfield, who's the Group Head of HR Programs and Systems at Vodafone. And I'm really looking forward to hearing this conversation with you. Take it away, Jason.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning to everyone out there. Again, my name is Jason Serrato, Senior Director of Product Marketing for Eightfold. I'm a former Fortune 50 talent acquisition leader and former HR tech industry analyst. Over the course of my talent acquisition career, I've held responsibilities for talent attraction, recruitment operations, college recruiting, diversity recruiting, and leadership development. And during my time as an analyst, I have also authored a number of best practice and HR transformation research articles, HR tech market guides, and even HCM magic quadrants. I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about 4 ways AI can supercharge your talent efforts and some of the ways organizations are transforming their processes and views of talent in these challenging times. Just a quick background, this is a little bit about who Eightfold is as a company. We've been growing quickly. As a matter of fact, we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary a few months ago. I just recently joined Eightfold, and one of the reasons why I was interested in joining the company is as a former TA leader and industry analyst, I saw this explosion of point solutions for talent and HR that were flooding the market. And in my previous role as a TA leader for a global Fortune 50, I once worked on a multi-year transformation project to try and consolidate and harmonize systems and processes. And I've supported many other organizations taking on that same challenge as an analyst and advisor over the last few years. And what Eightfold has built is an AI native and composable platform that consolidates a lot of those solutions into a single layer. Eightfold incorporates AI to provide organizations with a variety of talent intelligence use cases that support talent acquisition, talent management, and contingent workforce management. We have 4 different machine learning patents. We have over 100 customers operating in 110 countries and using our software in 19 different languages. So first, what is talent intelligence? Talent intelligence is a term used to describe technologies that use data and AI to help employers make strategic decisions around talent. Such decisions might be what opportunities a person may have the capability to learn based on adjacent and related skills, or what skills an employee or applicant is likely to have even if they didn't specify them on their resume or profile. This capability aims to help increase transparency and remove ambiguity about how someone's experience and skills map to the organization, as well as the potential paths they may take over the course of their career. For organizations, talent intelligence aims to provide a more dynamic view of their talent pipelines and better highlight what skills they may already existing in their organization. You know, during my time as an industry analyst, we surveyed C-suite members to ask them to highlight some of their biggest organizational challenges. And one of the most common answers was the length of time and difficulty it took them to get a comprehensive view of their own talent. Talent intelligence provides deep data insights by combining organizational data with applicant data and market data in a single platform to generate insights and provide additional context for talent decision-making. Talent intelligence also helps identify adjacent and related skills, as well as emerging and declining skills in the market to provide insight into how organizations may approach reskilling or upskilling their employees. And by adding data insights to a singular platform for the majority of HR, talent acquisition, and talent management activities, talent intelligence provides visibility to how organizations can track and influence their diversity efforts by taking an end-to-end view and diving in by talent audience, by role, or even by system user. Talent intelligence acts as a layer and an integrator of data coming from a variety of HR systems and practices. Talent intelligence can support talent management activities such as internal mobility and workforce planning, and talent acquisition activities such as sourcing, matching, and candidate experience, or even contingent workforce support through direct sourcing and total workforce visibility. In addition to connecting these tools and processes, talent intelligence also incorporates external market data for comparison and additional context. In the case of Eightfold, we enrich organizational data by comparing it against over 1 billion unique profiles and 1 million unique skills for comparison and analysis. So with talent intelligence tools utilizing global data sets, information is constantly being refreshed and updated with the aim to provide more dynamic, real-time insights. As organizations increasingly have layered technology that may include systems of record with systems of experience and systems for operations, this added layer of integrated capability is important as organizations work to break down organizational data silos and try to create total workforce visibility. Here are just a few of the examples of how incorporating talent intelligence can provide enhancements to talent processes, personalizing experiences to map career paths and promote talent marketplaces, or using insights to monitor the external market against internal needs to identify and plan for emerging and fading skills, or to dynamically plan around skills as well as identify an organization's core capabilities. All of these are important inputs as organizations plan for the talent they seek to build or buy or borrow. Additionally, it provides the ability to benchmark skills to the market and shape your development and hiring activities at scale. Talent intelligence is helping organizations become more efficient and uncover hidden talent, and it allows for talent acquisition teams to start the race with both a map and a head start. And it helps employees have increased awareness of the opportunities around them and allows for external applicants and prospects to receive a more transparent and personalized experiences in hope of increasing their intent and interest with a prospective employer. One of the most exciting use cases to me as a former TA leader is how AI is being used to power personalization and improve the candidate experience. With the use of AI for candidate engagement, candidates no longer have to search for jobs using keywords and drop-down menus to try and understand how their experience and skills map to the organization. Instead, they load or create a quick profile, and the system matches them to jobs automatically. And it also explains why they are being identified as a match. With the incorporation of AI, this transposes the way most career sites work, as it's entirely built around the talent rather than around the position or the requisition. It's a great example of candidate-centered design. Enhanced personalization shows people jobs they are a match for, while still allowing them to search all jobs if they are interested, while at the same time presenting them with relevant company information based on their profile and interests. It also includes a brief introduction to the people they may work with in this role, and includes an embedded chatbot if they need additional assistance. Using skills and insights, it also explains why they are seen as a match, as well as provide visibility to the characteristics of previous hires in that role. This helps increase transparency for candidates and helps demystify how they align to the organization. It also cuts down on time for applicants, builds stronger slates for recruiters, and aims to increase applicant flow and diversity by drawing in individuals that may not have realized they were a match previously. It also helps with career site conversions as it cuts down on the need for visitors to decode your organization or make repeat visits in order to gain understanding. In the battle for candidates' attention, I see this as a great enhancement to try to capitalize on their interest and activity while they're there. From a talent management perspective, Personalization is bringing the recently improved candidate experience efforts that TA teams have been making to the sometimes overlooked employee experience. Personalization appears in use cases such as a career hub, which helps employees create a robust profile or even import an external profile, and can even infer and/or suggest skills when an employee profile is incomplete. It also allows employees to link their profile to a variety of data sources to keep their profile up to date automatically. It provides career path mapping that can both generate recommendations of potential career paths, as well as allow employees to select their own path, but give them insights and recommendations on how to get there. Whether it be creating visibility of job ladders, relevant training, or knowledgeable mentors along the way. A career hub also includes a talent marketplace, which allows the organization to highlight various types of work and opportunities such as jobs, projects, internal groups, or even volunteering. And we'll talk more about internal talent marketplaces in a minute. By having a personalized and guided process in talent management, organizations can provide employees with better visibility to a variety of career opportunities and create better understanding of how to develop their skills. This helps employees understand what opportunities are possible, identify why they may or may not be ready, as well as highlight ways to get there. The goal of this is to both inform aspirations as well as to help set expectations. One scenario many organizations deal with today is an internal employee applying for a job, not getting it, and then ultimately deciding to leave the company. These career pathing tools help inform what an employee may be missing or what they may need to be ready, as well as what else may be possible for them in the event that opportunity is not an option. This is all trying to drive engagement and support retention, as well as guide employee participation towards relevant training and resources that map to where they are trying to go. This helps try to avoid that feeling of them spinning their wheels. It also helps align training and programming so that these organizational investments in training and resources better link to the outcomes they're trying to achieve. All of this comes together to provide another view of talent and analysis on how talent is moving or needs to move in an organization to meet business needs. And with this work being done in a single platform, here's what the process can look like from 3 different perspectives. You have employees, you have managers, and you have talent teams. And as we've discussed, employees get a more comprehensive view of their place in an organization or the potential places for them over the course of a career. Managers receive a view into their teams, as well as get information that becomes a resource and a way to advise their team members' growth, especially during more frequent check-ins with employees and performance conversations. And leaders and talent teams can receive an organizational view of both organizational capabilities as well as gaps. So as you can see here, skills are top of mind for everyone. All the industry analysts are talking about skills. HR technology vendors are working to incorporate skills. Organizations are trying to get a grasp of skills. First, we're all going after the same talent with the most recent and relevant skills. Second, skills are changing so rapidly as part of digital transformation and remote work that the shelf life of skills is getting shorter and shorter. So it's increasingly important for organizations to have visibility into how things are evolving. To enable agility and maintain competitiveness, organizations will be increasingly shifting from understanding, units of work in terms of fixed static jobs to reimagining them in terms of a dynamic landscape of skills that can be deployed across an organization to work for a variety of evolving business needs. This is creating a skills-based approach to talent, focusing more heavily on the work rather than the role. And it's an approach that places the person at the center, creating a new operating model for work and for the workforce. We've talked here a lot about skills and introduced the use of AI to uncover adjacent skills. One of the things AI can also help organizations do is take a dynamic skills approach. This piece of Gartner research identified the impact of a dynamic skills approach by surveying organizations that were dealing with shifting skill needs and the requirements for their organizations. And it examined organizations that tried to predict the skills their employees would need for the future and compared them to organizations that simply reacted as needs presented themselves versus organizations that tried to deploy some type of dynamic skilling capability. And what they found was that all were somewhat effective at helping organizations prepare employees to gain and apply new skills. But a dynamic skills-based approach was 2 times more effective as an organization's ability to predict what they would need. And as a result, a greater percentage of the training that was given to employees was actually applied in those organizations using that dynamic skills approach. What is relatively easy for organizations to do on their own is identify job categories and match them to stable competency frameworks. The use of AI in HR can help organizations do things that are a little bit more difficult, like detecting and inferring company-specific relationships, knowledge, experience, skills, as well as incorporating additional impactful and ever-evolving data sets to try and predict what will be needed. AI allows for a more dynamic skills approach that reacts to these rapid changes in talent pools and business needs. And just as a case in point, I highlight this piece of research from my time at Gartner as well, where they were doing a job posting analysis. And what they found was that the number of skills included in job posting continued to increase, but the use of those skills was not updating with the market. So 29% of the skills that were present in an average job posting in 2018 will not be needed by 2022, but more than 50% of those skills were still appearing heavily in current job postings. So all of this is trying to take a more dynamic, market-driven approach at understanding your talent needs and getting additional information to provide additional insight and context beyond maybe just your organizational data. AI is also being used to power internal talent marketplaces. And here's an example of how an internal talent marketplace works. Internal talent marketplaces use AI and skills data to support enterprise and employees' needs for development, reskilling and flexibility in connecting workers to roles and short-term assignments. An internal talent marketplace transforms how employees are connected to work assignments, how they can utilize work assignments for development purposes, and it also creates a central channel for creating awareness around a variety of work and development opportunities. Internal marketplaces help organizations understand their workforce through a different lens, focused on the work rather than the role. And additionally, the data generated in the internal talent marketplace can be used for strategic workforce planning and additional talent identification. When used correctly, they also help encourage and document employee development and collaboration in new ways, accounting for relationships and skill development that may have been invisible to an organization otherwise. During my time as an analyst meeting with early adopters of these tools, I saw 3 great examples of how these marketplaces were being used. During 2020 and the first wave of COVID, I met with organizations that were beginning to utilize these tools to help encourage and track employee development during a hiring freeze. when traditional job opportunities and promotions were not available, but they still wanted to engage and retain talent during that time. I also met with organizations that were completely disrupted as a result of COVID, and they were using internal marketplaces to re-recruit their employees to understand what talents their employees may have that weren't readily visible to them, and to use those efforts to apply them towards the new roles and needs that were popping up as a way to address new delivery models or new ways of supporting customers. I also met with organizations using internal talent marketplaces to promote activity and development available through things like employee resource groups or volunteering as a way to both increase awareness, but also record all of those skills and experience gained through those programs that and otherwise may often go on behind the scenes and be invisible to other HR systems. So you kind of see a progression through those three examples. One of the first use cases was survival. One of the second use cases was more sustainability, and the third use case is starting to evolve into more strategic purposes. But all of these are great examples of how organizations are becoming more agile, gathering more complete data, as well as helping support retention and DE&I efforts. With a talent intelligence layer, you're able to gain insights beyond your organization to begin to analyze and plan your talent strategies compared to the environment you're operating in. That's what we're referring to when we're talking of talent insights. At an organizational level, talent intelligence can offer market-informed insights using enterprise data to compare organizational data to the skill-related trends occurring in the market. And all of this can be done dynamically and in real time. This next slide provides just some examples of sample outputs possible with capability like Talent Insights. For example, the ability to generate a list of the top or most penetrated industry skills for a given role that may help alter or change or update how you formulate job descriptions or how you're evaluating a talent pipeline. An analysis of adjacent skills that may exist in the market or within an organization. This could be used to help attract a broader audience or maybe develop your existing employees in certain ways, or find ways that you can supplement your talent needs against maybe some of the processes and procedures you've used in the past. Another example could be an in-depth industry analysis of emerging market trends, current talent skills, or potential solutions for aligning your talent and business strategies for future success. You know, this helps organizations better understand how their roles and their skills are evolving in their industry, or to identify their skill advantages and gaps, and to develop a plan for how to address them. It also offers an opportunity to provide talent insights to help identify potential career paths for key roles or new roles based on capability and learnability to properly reskill or upskill employees within an organization. You know, with Eightfold developing this capability recently, we've been working with customers on providing this analysis. And here's just a couple of different scenarios. We've done talent insights work supporting customers identifying talent shortages in healthcare. We've done talent insights work trying to compare the skills, capability, and inventory for traditional banking organizations versus fintech organizations. And we've also done an analysis to try and help the semiconductor industry reskill their workforce to address some of those current challenges. And this semiconductor work has recently been cited by the Wall Street Journal as well as Fox News. On this slide here, you can see just a few examples of outcomes we've seen as a result of adopting some of these approaches we've talked about today. Increased diversity in talent pipelines, increased internal movement and engagement, as well as an increase in internal hires and mobility. These are a result of increased awareness and understanding on the part of the candidates and employees. Some of this could be through generating these matches and recommendations. Some of this could be through inferring skills and creating more complete profiles. Or in the case of hourly workers. It could be through the use of our tool to generate their profile and understand how their skills then relate to roles that are listed for an organization. Some of these enhancements and benefits also come from the increased visibility for recruiters into their external talent efforts, but also their existing inventory of talent data and different talent pipelines. And it also comes from existing visibility for HR managers and business leaders. Altogether, AI and talent intelligence are helping organizations experience a variety of outcomes through combining advanced technology, experience, and operations into a unified approach. As a result, not only are organizations more prepared to go after and find hidden external talent, but we're seeing scenarios where Eightfold customers are having more success hiring and promoting internal talent, as well as re-engaging in their previous applicants and all of their heavily invested in talent acquisition efforts. These are just some examples where we've seen companies leverage those pre-existing audiences for more than 50% of their hiring last year, either increasing their engagement with internal hiring and internal mobility, or re-recruiting some of their existing talent acquisition applicant activity that may have been hidden or siloed or not being viewed through some of these lenses. What I wanted to do next was invite Mark Starfield from Vodafone to join me to talk about some of these capabilities and how they're taking shape in the real world. Mark is the group head of HR programs and systems for Vodafone, and I believe he has joined us on the session. Mark, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm good, thank you, Jason. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. What I wanted to do with this session today was use kind of the first half of the materials to kind of introduce some of these concepts and some of these capabilities as a way of approaching talent challenges going forward differently than how we may have addressed them in the past. But I really want to kind of understand how you're thinking of these things for some of the challenges you're working on within your organization. Can you briefly provide a background on Vodafone and some of the things you're trying to accomplish from a kind of before and after perspective?
Sure. So a quick intro in terms of Vodafone. So Vodafone Group's a multinational technology company that's responsible for connecting 34 million mobile, fixed line, and television customers and organizations of all sizes. A few interesting facts, among the top 5 internet providers globally and one of the largest operators of submarine data cables. Vodafone is the largest mobile and fixed network operator in Europe with the largest 5G network and the world's largest Internet of Things connectivity provider, connecting more than 100 million devices from cars to lampposts. We believe communication technology is the power to continually transform people's lives. In terms of scale, we are roughly 96,000 employees in 26 main countries. In terms of what we're trying to achieve as an outcome, and a little bit about the kind of before and after, let me start with it at a high level. Our digital HR strategy and why we're implementing this transformation is looking to kind of implement and provide a new engagement platform. This is about how people engage with our organization externally, but also internally, how people understand and utilize HR services from resourcing, but also talent and learning specifically. And we want to kind of drive engagement opportunities, but also we want to have large simplification and productivity savings. The next part of what we're trying to achieve is working with a set of companies that allow us to kind of develop innovative new product roadmaps. So we went on an initial journey to move all of our environment into a cloud-based solution. So all of our HR systems is one single cloud solution now, but then work with innovative companies like Eightfold and a few others to say, how do we take your products and integrate it into our environment to create differentiated offerings? The next part of our strategy is around implement and embed AI for HR. Now, everybody's got many definitions for AI. Mine's quite simple. It's automation, digital assistance, and machine learning. So we want to implement with this transformation, automate as much as we possibly can, both in terms of efficiency, but also making it really simple to work with us. Then use digital assistance to create a consumer-grade experience. Here we underlying technology is IBM Watson. And then machine learning to make sure that information and everything we do is really purposeful and meaningful. And then the final part of that is really enabling a true analytics capability, so predictive analytics. Let me give you a few examples of kind of where we've been from and where we'd like to go. So kind of in the past, objectives-led, now much more focused on purpose-led. In the past, kind of analog employee experiences, now digital only, and if we really can't, then digital first. But rich digital experiences. We want to attract the brightest digital minds in the world and keep the best digital talent. We want to make sure their experiences are digital only. In the past, kind of intuitive people decisions, now really data-driven. Yes, specifically thinking around strategic workforce planning and the skills we need. Process-centric in the past, and now much more experience and journey-centric, and those moments that matter to employees. In the past, quite headcount focused, now really focusing on the skills we have today, skills we need to develop, but also skills we need for the future. Functional silos, now much more multidisciplinary skill sets. How do we combine different skill sets? And then finally, kind of a maintenance focus to much more innovation focus that we want to approach things in a slightly different way. Let me give you a few just quick sound bites of all of this. At the end of the day, what we're trying to achieve is a different candidate and employee experience. So some of the key things we're looking to achieve, and kind of links to what you spoke about, Jason, around some of what Eightfold offers, but also what you're seeing in terms of research. The first one is really around attraction. So we want personalized employee value proposition content specific to the specific markets we're driving. We want to use AI to drive role recommendations to keep people coming back, but also to allow people to understand what's available in our world. And then job insights. What is happening in the industry and how do we change? A real focus on engagement and assessment. So kind of an intuitive candidate relationship management environment with as much automation as we can. AI-driven kind of skill-based role collaboration and candidate recommendations. A real focus on D&I, so equal opportunity, so making sure people understand why that's important for us and how we use that. And then being able to use our skills and spirit-based assessments and integrate that into a single environment. Part of this transformation, which is around also onboarding, so putting in place a leading kind of digital, simple onboarding experience once we've offered you an opportunity. Then a real focus on building your skills and a profile. We call the program Grow as well. This is about kind of being able to simply upload your CV, link it to LinkedIn, but then understanding your skills in a smart way, and then using that to assess that and allow you to grow. And that leads into kind of personalized learning and careers. So part of the Eightfold implementation, we're also implementing a product called Blend, which is really about a learning experience platform. And this is kind of AI-driven career recommendations, but also really smart recommendations around learning and connecting you to communities and groups. And this is all about kind of upskilling for your current role, but also future evolution, but also enabling what I like the term is curious learning culture and these internal talent experiences. Jason, I hope that makes sense. It gives you a little bit of a summary of what we're focusing on.
You definitely have a lot on your plate, and you're not alone. This is something that is facing HR leaders and business leaders around the world. I think as much of us have felt, we were already, dipping our toe in the water and going through this slowly and methodically as part of digital transformation in the second half of the last decade. And then all of a sudden with COVID and the pandemic, all of these efforts were just ratcheted up and expedited overnight. We've talked a little bit already around kind of the product and the capability. I also want to kind of understand from your perspective how you're approaching the process. So in addition to supplying the tools and moving from analog to digital, what are some of the organizational or cultural factors you must consider in kind of implementing some of these initiatives and increasing adoption, but also supporting those outcomes?
Let me start with one that was quite interesting for us to understand and spend a bit more time in terms of organizationally security and privacy by design. Implementing AI and what that means, it sounds quite simple, but it's a construct that would rightly get privacy and security a little bit kind of asking difficult questions. So for me, that would be something I would consider a little more, spend more time in that. Then I think it is creating a narrative around how this technology actually directly contributes to the organization's purpose and strategy, but potentially more importantly for you as an individual. How do we really make this something that you believe in and see that there is real value in kind of putting in a profile and how that will support your growth and development? We ultimately want to create an environment where people can thrive and grow. But to do that, we've got to spend a lot of time in terms of grabbing a good narrative, making sure people understand where that fits in. For me, it's also purposefully understanding how different groups, markets will perceive and use the solutions. I don't think you should assume large homogeneous groups or perceptions of how this tool works or not, and plan for different adoption and use cases and kind of build it up in different layers. An obvious one in terms of culture is changing communication and helping people understand how this allows them to really look at many different opportunities, and not just the ones they're currently in, but I like the language of democratizing opportunities and making it really open in terms of all the skills, jobs, and opportunities, and allowing people to see what is possible in our organization, but also understand where they are and where they'd like to go next. Hope that makes sense.
Sure. Now, I love hearing you talk about this because you can really get a sense that you are, supporting the process of empowering and improving, the candidate and the employee, and kind of putting the person at the center. Can you talk about the role of managers and leaders and kind of understanding this capability and making this, empowerment successful?
I think that for me, the secret in kind of implement technology is never going to really change it. So for me, key is for line managers is central to actually activating and making it work. But for me, it would be line managers having a new belief and expectation for themselves and their teams in terms of growth and thriving. Now, for me, that's really understanding the skills that a line manager needs now and how that enables the outcomes that that line manager needs, and moves away from the traditional focus of specific people and really thinking in a different way around skills. But also then having an expectation that you would be a talent exporter and allowing people that time. And you mentioned a lot of research, but there is interesting research that if you just create the space and time for people to actually be able to learn and experience something new, there's a much larger proportion of people that actually do the training and then feel more engaged and contribute more to the organization. So it's having this new belief, creating the space and environment, and then for us importantly is living what we call our spirit behaviors. And there's two ones I'd call out. One is creating the future, and the second one is experiment and learn fast. So really expecting people in your team and using the tools we have in place to see how we could change the future. I like the language of people say the best way to predict the future is to create it. So really think about what is different, what are the skills you need differently in the future, and then experiment and learn fast. Create an environment and psychologically safe space where people can try things and learn from that. And that means not just formal learning and skills, but also allowing people to do smaller projects or try something in a different area, which allows them to kind of really grow in a different place. But you do need line managers to believe that's a good thing for them, their own environments, and the wider organization.
As you incorporate a variety of tools, ours and others, how are you and your team looking at kind of pressure testing and kicking the tires on the capability of AI and the recommendations that it's providing?
And we want to start by initially kind of activating it within the HR organization because it's kind of a friendly use case. But then we want to really spend a lot of time in terms of looking at what that data is saying to us and what can we learn from it. So let me give you a specific example in terms of one of the outcomes we really want to achieve is being able to kind of have leading global workforce planning capabilities and practices that emphasize skills. Now, you need some tech to be able to do that. We're designing a dashboard where you can really see the skills you need, which markets they're from, how much it would cost, and allow line manager in a single view to kind of take decisions on where we do that. But with that information, we want to really get to that data-driven workforce and talent decisions, which means taking the information we've gone live with, using that, and then being very purposeful about understanding what people are using the tools for, what we are learning from that, and use that to really inform skills we need, skills we have internally, but also what are we going to focus on in terms of reskilling, upskilling, and talent attraction strategies. So at the heart of it is starting. We're going kind of live in 3 phases, but each phase really spending quite a bit of time to internalize and understand the data and then use that to really inform what we would do next. Does that make sense?
Sure. Is your organization considering tools and more agile approaches like an internal talent marketplace?
Absolutely. We did a pilot last year. We've got a great policy, which is a skills mobility policy, which allows people to allocate a percentage of their time to a specific program or project in another market, as an example. So we internally built a little tool in terms of understanding, allowing markets to say we have a skill need in this specific area or a project that needs this type of skill. And then allowing people to kind of create a small profile saying what skills do they have, what would they like to work on, and especially in which markets. I ran a small design thinking session to understand why would people use that. And what was quite interesting from that, Jason, is that the most important thing for people was search. The ability to search for opportunities, the ability to understand where there are things that they could get involved in and develop new skills and areas. So yes, we did an initial pilot. We launched it. It wasn't the biggest uptake in the world. One of the lessons we've learned is that line managers' expectations of the policy and how they use that is an important factor in terms of allowing that. So what we learned so much from that. So we really are looking at a next phase in terms of specifically on Eightfold around saying how could we use that to create a space where there's a bit of a or an internal marketplace and allowing you as a whole individual to do your job, but also get involved in things which are new, which is either your development plan or something that you're really interested in, and creating an environment where people feel like they can grow in multiple ways.
During my time as an analyst, I had a colleague who did a lot of research around internal talent marketplaces and what makes them successful and how to implement them. And one of the scenarios that she came up against was when people are deploying some of these internal talent marketplaces, one of the benefits is that it kind of opens up the opportunity for people to share projects and share work and make people aware of, work that can be done. And where things can sometimes go astray is people will then put into the tool the work that no one wants and the work that people don't have the ability to get done. How do you kind of manage and coach and think about what kind of work and what kind of opportunities get put into a process like an internal talent marketplace?
And the kind of at the heart of it is understanding the skills that will deliver the right outcome. So you mentioned it in your piece as well, really shifting mindset away from people and jobs to much more skills. We also think about trying to use the language of total workforce, so not just employees, but also others that can combine in that. I think your legal relationship to an organization will become less important. So the focus is on understanding the skills that are required for those outcomes, and then using that to create the opportunities for an internal marketplace. So less about a specific persona written in a job spec for somebody that you already identified, and more around focusing on those skills. And then when the profiles actually get to the line managers, for example, it's kind of masked. So it's not easy for them to understand who that is. And that gives us the ability to make sure there's no kind of bias, conscious or unconscious biases in that process. So really focusing on skills and the outcomes. Our talent attraction specialists are critical in that process, kind of making sure we write things in a way which attract the right people. We also add the right tags to make sure the AIs for different engines that Eightfold and other solutions we use pick it up and present this in a way which makes sure that it does feel entirely open and available to everybody to ask their questions.
I understand you have a lot of hiring activity going on. You had recently announced you're looking to hire 7,000 software engineers. So I can understand how you're very rapidly trying to put some of these capabilities to work. We're all talking about using new tools and new capabilities, but at the same time, we're also doing this in entirely new contexts. What are some of the elements to consider or benefits gained from increased personalization and awareness when we're talking about doing this in an organization increasingly deploying remote and hybrid work?
I mean, for me, it is critical to have that personalization element in there. There's so much content. There's so many kind of job sites. There's so many people trying to attract very similar people or skills that we are looking for. So I think it's really important that you are able to personalize that. So for me, information, recommendations or nudges or the way you engage with us has to be personal and purposeful. So we spend a lot of time in terms of looking at our employee value proposition. What we're trying to implement with these tools as well is kind of through these solutions, we want to address the kind of psychological or cultural elements of change. We want people to see us in a different light. And for me, that starts with people seeing and feeling a digital experience. So when they go and look at jobs at Vodafone, they see that experience. We're going live with the first version of that on Monday. So they can go in and see and experience it and can drag in their CV, and the number of opportunities goes down from 5,000 to 300. And we help them understand why we're saying that. We're specifically using kind of the mountain of kind of skills and information in Eightfold, but we also have a specific section for those that are really important to Vodafone. So we can focus our internal, but also other areas to say, what do we need from the wider market, or what do we specifically need for Vodafone? So a big focus on that personalization, because otherwise you're just creating another channel for learning or other areas. Key things that we're really focusing on is kind of awareness, and that's like personalized local content, recommendations for people that have been in there that make sense of candidate job search kind of match. Real focus on D&I, as I said before. Activation is kind of personalized job ads, talent tagging, and functionality that allows people to feel like they can really easily engage with us as an organization. On the application side, it might sound a little bit boring, but short and simple digital experience, which is smart. And allows people to feel like they're joining, applying for a digital organization. I think the blind CVs is a nice bit of functionality. Then assessments. So we've integrated the Eightfold environment with our assessment tools. So as these assessment tools mature over time, and Eightfold and other products, one could imagine in the future for some specific roles that you could have like a no-touch recruitment part, just using the technology inside it. And then finally, really insights. So understanding how all of this comes together to inform our strategies in terms of the areas we go, how we look and source different individuals. And then I'd say finally, just a lot of purposeful research about where the skills we need can be found, where these skills are growing to inform both location strategies and talent attraction campaigns.
I know we were chatting earlier in preparation for going live with the webcast, and we were having some conversations with John, and John had a couple of questions he wanted to ask. John, do you want to ask those questions?
Sure. I'm going to back you up and talk about Eightfold in general. And so the first question I have is, good design practice for AI involves having really diverse design teams, and I'm curious about how you guys do diversity on your design teams.
Great question. I'll take it from kind of two elements. One is, from a product perspective, and one is from a process perspective. From a product perspective, all of our algorithmic predictions are tested for bias against known and unknown personal characteristics. This tries to surface any statistically significant bias in a prediction, and no algorithm is released unless it passes that test, and we retest our algorithms regularly. We have a very diverse engineering and product team, and we also utilize what we call product hackathons, where we incorporate the entire company, customers, as well as external experts to come in and provide ideas, enhancements, and new approaches into our design process. From a process perspective, and how it actually plays out and how people utilize the tool, we look at skill adjacencies and learnability to try and incorporate a broader pool of talent for consideration. When we start working with a customer, we ask them to make design decisions about personally identifiable information and indicators of diversity. We give them the ability to hide this information. It's not incorporated in our algorithms, and we put all of this together from a process perspective with the addition of resume masking and blind recruiting to further prevent bias in the recruiting, hiring, and kind of talent management processes that follow.
Great, thanks very much. The next question is, how does Eightfold identify and address ethical issues? One of the things I'm noticing is that as we go further down the evolution of AI, we're starting to understand that there are ethical problems we couldn't see in the beginning. So there's this constant expansion of the frontier of ethics in the place. How do you do that? And do you have outside people involved in that?
So you said this constant expansion of the conversation of AI ethics. I think it's also a constant review of your capabilities when you have an offering like this. Eightfold conducts regular pre-deployment and post-deployment testing on the quality and accuracy of our models using peer-reviewed industry standards. We also have a model monitoring system that monitors the performance of our model in production. We have alerts set to catch any possible model drifts and have appropriate fallbacks set up to ensure the match score does not degrade. We've been very active in having meetings and working with the EEOC, and they've been amenable to our process. We also do a great deal of work with the public sector, which requires extensive certification. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that I was kind of impressed with that drew me towards the organization was the U.S. Department of Labor chose Eightfold to power their veterans career placement services after 3 rounds of evaluating 50 different vendors on the basis of AI matching and candidate experience.
That's pretty awesome. So at the heart of Eightfold, there's something that you guys, I think, call a skills ontology. I'm curious about how you develop that. The heart of this is, you said 1 million skills, which is, it hurts my head to think about 1 million skills, but you've got 1 million skills. How do you get them? How's that developed and how's that maintained?
It's referred to as a skills ontology because that's how it's known in the market. Our approach is a little different. Our approach is to develop a capability matrix rather than simply a skills ontology. A skills ontology can only see a single dimension of knowledge. Does a person know a skill? Yes or no? Our capability matrix sees how skills are evolving, especially as tools used in the work evolve, and it also talks about the ability to learn. We're not just creating recommendations and analysis from scratch, but incorporating successful career path information and looking at comparative careers. As you mentioned, and as I mentioned, we have over 1 billion unique job trajectories in our global data set, and our AI analyzes the proximity of terms across multiple dimensions related to skills and to other closely related skills, as well as previous training, job titles, and companies. And this drives our understanding of the key skills that can be next for a candidate or employee, as well as the titles or jobs which can be the next logical step for them in a career path or career trajectory.
So I'm going to compress there's some interesting questions popping up in the Q&A section that I want to get to. But one of the things that I'm curious about is whether Eightfold actually tests for skill levels, or does it identify the probability that someone has a particular skill?
It's a great question. And from a talent acquisition perspective, we don't provide assessments for skill level. We do offer the ability to integrate with those tools if a customer wants to do a skills assessment integration. We have our match score, which is based on skills and capability. We do offer the ability to track and document those additional third-party assessments into the candidate slate and into the profile. But the results of those third-party tools are not combined with ours, as we have no control over how their assessment, is derived. We also utilize AI in concert with kind of the human in the loop and human intervention. So we do have both a calibration step on the front end where users can do a skill calibration for what elements should be considered and building out kind of a search, as well as a validation step on the back end, which informs the system users on a profile that's been surfaced on our verified skills, our ability to say they have likely skills, or skills that we're suggesting the organization should confirm, as well as our listing of missing skills. From a talent management perspective, since we also do work on that side, Eightfold allows employees to self-assess themselves on skills, as well as for managers to assess the employees on skills as well. And those two measures are tracked respectively for performance and development, but again, tracked respectively.
Got it. So one of the questions from the audience is, do you integrate with Workday? And if so, can you talk about some of the successful examples where it happened?
We do have several customers that are using Workday as their HCM suite. We integrate with HCM suites. We integrate with applicant tracking systems. There are organizations that are using it to kind of fill in a gap or supplement the modules they have or don't have. Like I said in my introduction of us as an offering, one of the nice things I like about Eightfold is that it's composable. if you want to use us for talent acquisition as a talent acquisition layer on top of a module such as Workday Recruiting, you can do that. If you wanted to use us for talent management to do things around the talent marketplace and the career hub, you can do that. Increasingly, we're seeing customers that are selecting multiple modules and increasingly including our overall talent intelligence platform, which includes things like the talent insights capability and our jobs intelligence engine, which helps in the creation of job descriptions. But we do participate in integrations with Workday, and as I covered in the industry as an analyst, there's a variety of tools in the average organization's tech stack, and we definitely work to make that possible. Oh, John, I think you're on mute.
John, I don't think we can hear you. Jason, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I know we're running short on time and John is having some technical difficulties. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and the question and answer period. I'd personally like to thank Mark for joining us and for John for being such a great host. We do have some contact information here if you'd like to get a hold of us and have an additional conversation. We'll also be able to download a copy of the materials, and there's some additional information included in that package that gives you some insight into some other customers and organizations using some of these capabilities. So to that end, I do want to just share some of the information that the conference board had asked us to share. There are some additional sessions coming up for individuals to register. So you'll see these here are 3 events occurring in the first half of February. And there's also a link here to view upcoming webcast programs at the conference board. For those individuals that are also interested, there's a new podcast series offering CEO perspectives and insights for what's ahead. And just like other podcasts out there, it's available where you choose to listen and download your podcasts. What I'll also share is you can sign in to your conference board to get some of these materials or to look at any additional information on this topic you may be interested in. And the last piece of information is that the conference board does have a virtual CHRO summit focused on the future of work that is happening on April 20th, and they are inviting you to attend and register as interested. I do want to thank everyone for their time today. Apologize for the technical difficulties. Appreciate your support, John. And again, Mark, thank you for joining us all the way from Vodafone.
Cool. Thank you.